we have a cultural exchange today, and if some of you are sharp-eyed, you'll realize that there is somebody who's not a member of our association on the screen hidden somewhere. And I would like, there we go. I've turned my screen on. Today, I am suitably dressed. I hope Marcy doesn't mind. I'm turning over to Marcy. Marcy is a member of our board. Her full name is Masayo. I'm going to ask you all to mute your computers, and then that way just Marcy is able to speak. And we've got a big thank you to Marcy, because Marcy has either persuaded or conned a very nice gentleman into doing us a cooking presentation. So today, our whole thing is all to do with Japan and things Japanese and a Japanese restaurant. I told you it would be good. Marcy.
Oh, my name is Masayo. I would like to present about Japan and Japanese culture today with friend of mine, Toshiyuki Izuchi. He is a talented and well-trained chef of Japanese cuisine who works in Toronto. So he's going to do live cooking after I explained about Japanese culture. So the food is Japanese comfort food, which called gyudon. So that he's going to explain later. So James, could you put the PowerPoint for me, please?
Yep.
I was born in and raised in Japan and came to Toronto. And now I'm waiting to back to a guide job once we are okay to do traveling again. I think like the same as most of you. I am also a makeup artist and a kimono fusion stylist as well. Kimono is something like James is wearing now, which is a traditional Japanese clothes. So I use the clothes with and mix with other clothes like wedding dresses or gothic style to create a more fusion style. So now I would like to move on introduction of Japan and Japanese culture. So Japan is a small island. Total land is about 380,000 square kilometers. So which is a little smaller than Newfoundland and Labrador. Population is 126 million, which is about 3.5 times more than Canadian population. So you see, many people live in a small island. So I put the two photos. They are trains during rush hour in Tokyo. So if you see top photo, you can see left side. The guy is wearing black hat and standing by the doors of train cars. His job is pushing people into the train car as many as possible. So once you are on the train, you don't need to hold anywhere because you cannot move at all. But those photos are before COVID, so I think it's much less now on the train. So James, could you go to the next slide, please? So next, I'd like to talk about the Japanese unique culture. Number one, they don't call you by your first name until you become very close friends. So they call you by formal ways such as Mr. Ijichi, who is my friend chef's last name, or when they call me like Mrs. Lang. Especially in business circumstances, they use this way a lot. Number two, they don't do hugs and shaking hands so much. Instead, they do bow ojigi in Japanese, like konnichiwa or ohayo gozaimasu. So I think it might be useful now because we are with COVID, so if you do both, you do not need to touch each other. Number three, they must take off shoes when you enter someone's house. I know many people here, they also take off shoes when they enter their houses, but not as strict as Japan. For example, I sometimes do like after I wear boots, and I notice like I forgot the keys, I forgot the wallet, and then I don't bother to take off shoes and they just enter the room. But in Japan, whatever the circumstance is, you have to take off shoes each time. Except if you go to Western style hotels and then you can still enter with shoes. So number four, talking on cell phones are not allowed on most of public transportation. Um, you can do text messages or you can send the email as long as you don't make any sound or any noise. Or sometimes you have options like you can choose train cars which is very quiet, so no telephone talking, or you can go to different cars which allow you to talk on the phone. Number five, when they eat, it's better to make noise. So it sounds a little weird, but there's a well-known noodle, popular noodle, it's called soba. It's a buckwheat noodle. There are many soba restaurants and even soba stands on platform at the station, train station. So when you go to a soba restaurant, like people around you eating the way, like make noise like this, like that. And some people might find that rude, but somehow this is the way how they do. So number six, they close doors of toilets completely, even no one is there. So you might then have to find someone there. So they knock the door to find out if someone's in a toilet. And if you are in a toilet in Japan, if someone knocks, you have to knock back, which means you are in a toilet. That's how to communicate. So if in Japan, if you are in a toilet and someone knocks and if you do not knock back, that person might open the door. So be careful. So number seven, Japanese people are accurate about time. For example, Japanese guests always come back to buses on time or even 5 to 10 minutes earlier. That means as a tourist guide, handle time management very well to meet their expectations. James, next please. So now I'd like to talk about what Japanese guests say about Toronto. So they most of them find Toronto is a very clean city, and Torontonians are nice and patient to talk with people who speak English as a second language, uh, same as myself. So Japanese people tend to be very shy and quiet. They are afraid to speak in English overseas when they travel. But many of them said when they try to speak English in Toronto, actually Torontonians get used to listen to English with accent. That's much easier to communicate, which encourages them to speak English more. So other thing they say they can enjoy variety of cuisines in Toronto. Food which Japanese guests usually request me are steak, lobster, dim sum, poutine, and local cafes include Tim Hortons. I usually explain about history of Tim Hortons and how to order coffee. So like a double double or triple triple. And Japanese guests like wanna try somehow. They wanna order like triple triple, or they wanna hear someone said like a triple triple. And then next day they came back and then told to me, oh yeah, yeah, they say that and triple triple, double double. They are so happy. Uh, Also, there are no Tim Hortons in Japan, so they are so happy to have Canadian experience. So could you go next slide, please? So another thing I'd like to talk about is some interesting feedbacks about the food in Canada, which I heard from a Japanese guest. Number one, price of food is much more expensive than Japan. So I took the photos of left side. There are lunch boxes or maybe dinner boxes, and then right side like those are sandwiches as you see. So when you buy those lunch boxes, like usually it costs about cheaper ones are $5, and even expensive ones are about $10, 10 Canadian dollars, include the tax. And if you purchase those sandwiches, you can get from a convenience stores or a supermarket. Those sandwiches cost like uh, about $3. Or if it's expensive, but still $5 include the tax. So it's more reasonable than actually here. So number two, portions of food are too big. Many Japanese people, especially female, they don't eat that much food. So especially when they order dinner plates, they express it's too much for them. So number three, sweets are too sweet. I know sweets are supposed to be sweet, but I also find sweets like Asian sweets, such as Chinese or Korean and Japanese, are not as sweet as North American sweets. So which I usually get like from Dobros or No Frills or even from Starbucks. They are more sweet. However, I also find that when I go to a European place, those sweets are less sweet than North American. And number four, Japanese people express they can't eat enough amount of veggies at the restaurant. So you might disagree, but many of them said that, especially at the breakfast, it's hard uh, veggie menus uh, like for breakfast. That somehow they say that. By the way, there is no custom like paying tips in Japan. No tips at the restaurants, taxis, or even hotels. But when you go to a Japanese type hotel, which and then someone greets you and then takes you to the room and offer green tea. In that case, you might want give tips. But again, you don't have to. So even if you don't pay any tips in that case, it's not a problem at all. So they have tax like HST, which is 10% now. It is a little complicating. Like for example, if you go to a restaurant or cafe, if you eat in the cafe, so in a restaurant, tax is 8%. But if you take out the food from restaurant, tax gonna be 10%. So it's a little bit confusing. But especially tax in Japan is 10% now. Lastly, I'd like to talk about the sushi. There are good and authentic sushi restaurants in Toronto, but most of them are expensive. So when Japanese guests ask me to eat, where the good sushi restaurants or where they can get eating a sushi, I would go like you can eat better, fresher, and cheaper sushi in Japan when you back. So I recommend them to try sushi which they can't eat in Japan, such as dynamite rolls, spicy tuna rolls, etc., etc. You might be amazed. Those sushi typical sushi. They are creation of overseas. So these days, actually, Japan imports sushi like a California roll from North America or from other countries to Japan. So you might be surprised. So that's all my presentation today. Thank you for listening, and I apologize if there are some technical problems. And I'm going to introduce Toshi. He's going to do live cooking. So he came to Canada in 2000 with a working holiday visa and worked at a Japanese restaurant. He found happiness when his customers enjoyed his food. So he decided to become a chef. He went back to Japan and learned and did a lot of training to cook Japanese food. Finally, he came back to Canada in 2009. He has worked at the Ichiriki restaurant, also catered and served party dishes, sushi, and pastries at Japanese consulate official residence from 2013 to 2015. After that, he had started working at new Japanese restaurants as an opening staff and head chef. So now I am passing to Toshi Ichiji.
Ladies and gentlemen, could I just ask you, can everybody see the two shots of Toshi well? Can I get a wave? There should be his face and his hands. Do you have that? Yeah, good. Also, if we can do Toshi a huge favor, I'll send the link out to everybody. He has a YouTube channel. And if we can like and follow his YouTube channel, it will be of great help to him. And it will also be of great help to you nice people on how to make Japanese food. I sent it to my lady friend and she is highly impressed how simple it is to follow. And as you might know, hence my outfit, she is Japanese as well. So I'm going to hand over to Toshi and I will share all the links with you afterwards. Toshi, it's all you.
Okay, can I start?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't see him.
Thank you for your introduction, Masayo and James. My name is Toshi. I would like to introduce popular Japanese beef bowl dish called gyudon. So, James, so can you show the slideshow? Oh, James, can you do that? The slideshow. So beef bowl picture. Yeah, I was so looking forward to today. So introduce. So my favorite dish. So gyudon, beef bowl. I love this dish. Yeah, and I arrived in Canada 2009. I wanna spread the wonderful special. Oh, slideshow. Yeah, wanna spread Japanese cuisine to everybody.
Can you see me, ladies and gents? Can you see the pictures? Sorry, I was having a technical difficulty. Okay.
It's okay. So yeah, gyudon is white rice topped with cooked thinly sliced beef. It is a Japanese soul food with a history of more than 100 years. It is so popular there are 24-hour restaurants that mainly sell gyudon. In addition, it is simple to make and you can eat it at home. Today, I will teach you how to make such an attractive beef bowl. Gyudon is served in a bowl and it is a dish that busy Japanese people can eat quickly. Onions and beef are cooked with seasoning and placed on top of rice. If you like it, can be topped with pickled ginger and raw eggs. Japanese people have a culture of eating raw eggs because its freshness is tightly controlled. However, this time I'm gonna use onsen tamago, which is similar to poached egg. Onsen means hot spring, and tamago means egg. Besides beef bowl, there are other bowl dishes called katsudon, which is pork cutlet and half-cooked eggs on rice. Oyakodon is eggs on chicken, and tendon is, yeah, this is oyakodon. The next photo, please. Yeah, and the tendon is vegetable and shrimp tempura. Okay, so slide show is done. Okay, let's get started. I'm so exciting. Okay, first, I'm going to explain.
Yoshi, just excuse me 1 second. I thought everybody could see this, but if you could go to the picture of that beautiful meat, ladies and gentlemen, go to the 3 dots. And if you go down, one of the choices you've got will say pin, pin to the screen. If you do that, then you'll be able to. I thought that was how I was actually sharing. But if you do that, then you can see exactly what Yoshi's doing. Okay, over to you, Yoshi.
Okay, James, thank you. First, so we use the thinly sliced meat. If you choose meat with a little fat, the texture will be softer. You can buy thinly sliced meat at Asian grocery stores. Meat without redness, like this, has a harder texture. Meat near the ribs, so this part is very tender. So brisket, ribeye, plate, flat iron, etc. are recommended. Thinly sliced pork can be used instead of beef and chicken. Can be used if there is no thinly sliced meat. Okay, next step. put the 10-gram sugar and add a quarter teaspoon each of grated ginger and garlic. Add 40 milliliter white wine into a bowl. And mix well. Next, add the 50 milliliters of soy sauce. Add 60 milliliters of apple cider. Add 400 grams of beef. So I'm gonna use the brisket beef today. And so you can use gloves. So massage it into beef. Mix well, massage. So become tender. And put wrap. Like this. By doing so, the meat will absorb the sauce. Leave for 30 minutes more. In addition, white wine makes the meat taste a little fruity and remove the meat odor. So in Japan, there is a sweet cooking wine called mirin. It is often used in Japanese food, but this time I will use white wine and apple cider. Apple cider. So because I want to give it little fruitness, usually when Japanese use cook, we use sake. Sake is Japanese rice wine made by fermented Japanese rice. By adding sake to the meat will become tender. Also, the enzymes in apple cider and ginger have effect of softening the protein in the meat. Okay, next step. This is my knife for vegetable. The thinly cut, so 200 grams the onion. Remove that bottom. Today I will make serving 4 people. Okay. Okay, next step. So 200 milliliters of bonnet and kelp stock. $300 milliliters of beef broth. Add 20 grams of sugar. Add 50 milliliters of soy sauce. And add 2/3 the amount of sliced onion. Sorry. Okay, cook. At medium-high heat. When it boiled, cook over low heat for 5 minutes. Okay. Oh, there are already cooked onions in this pot. So remove any scum. Any scum that builds on the surface. So then add remaining 1/3 of the onion. and remove. Then it's come again. Separately. And simmer for another around 4 minutes. The first batch of cooked onions are for sweetness, and the later is to give texture. This technique allows you to enjoy the texture of the onions while enjoying its sweetness. Now, I will explain the soup stock while I cook the onions. Okay. The combined soup stock of bonito and kelp is basic and indispensable seasoning for Japanese cooking. This seasoning allows us to enjoy the full flavor of each ingredient. The katsuobushi, shaved smoked bonito fish. The kelp is seaweed. These are boiled to create the base for the soup stock. So, powder bonito and kelp broth can be purchased at Asian grocery stores. Today, I will blend the beef broth to add more flavor. If you don't have bonito or kelp, you can use vegetable stock or chicken stock instead. And soy sauce has become a popular seasoning that can be purchased in just about any store. Soy sauce is liquid seasoning made from fermented soybeans, wheat, and salt. It is also made in China and South Korea, but I recommended you use Japanese soy sauce. Each country has its own flavor and taste of soy sauce. Onsen tamago is similar to poached egg. Poached eggs have solidified egg white and soft, almost liquid yolk, while onsen tamago is the opposite. The egg white is soft. So, can you see? Soft. And the yolk is firm. So this is because the temperature at which the egg white and the yolk solidify is different. The yolk begins to harden at 65 degrees, while the egg white begins to harden 70 degrees. Originally, onsen tamago were made in hot springs. But you can make onsen tamago by soaking them in hot water at 67 degrees for 26 minutes. You can do it. Okay, next step. So prepare bowl and strainer. Strain out the juice used to marinate the meat. So once the onions are cooked, add only the sauce. Good color. Yeah, nice. Good, good. Okay. So add only juice. And heat up. If you add the beef fast, the meat will overcook and stiffen. So remove any scum. Okay, once. So after a while, add beef. Okay. Okay, add meat. So meat marinated in alcohol will cook immediately. So this is because the boiling point of alcohol 78 degrees, which is low. So therefore, even if you turn off the heat just before the soup stock starts to boil, this time for just around 30 seconds, enough. Okay, turn off. So already cooked. And so of course, if you use other meat, chicken or pork, but cook well, please. So remove any scum and fat that builds on the surface. remove. Yeah, coming soon. I'm exciting. Okay. Yeah. もうalready turned off. Okay. Prepare ball. Okay, prepare ball. So put into the rice. Steamed rice. So put flat. And okay, look. Also nice. So put rice into the bowl next. So top with beef. And onion. And sauce, some sauce. So over it. Oh, that's nice. Lastly, you can add onsen tamago. Green onions. And so pickled ginger. So this is called ichimi. Sprinkle some pepper powder if you wish. Okay. I recommend you so mix the egg and meat and rice together and then eat. I am very sorry I cannot eat with you, but I will demonstrate. Okay. Itadakimasu. We say itadakimasu before eating to for respect food and show appreciation. Okay, looks nice, right? So the onsen tamago is for like this. Mm. Mm. Meat is tender. Mm. And the onion are sweet. Mm. So good. Good texture. Plus it's all coated with egg, creating a delicious combination. I love it. By all means, so please find the ingredients and try making this at home. Thank you for watching. ありがとうございました。
Thank you very, very much, Yoshi.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Big round of applause for him, big waves, so he can see how happy everybody is, hopefully.
Yeah,
And
everybody smile.
uh,
I'm so happy.
thank you. And I sent out an email a few minutes ago. You should all be receiving the email, and it has Toshi's full name, and it also has his the link to his YouTube channel, and he is constantly adding to it. So there will be a number of things going on. If I could just add something before I hand over to Masayo, is a lot of Japanese cooking is a lot easier than people thinks. Please give it a try. I have been trying a couple of things. There are some great ways to marinate things to put on the barbecue. There are a lot of very, very simple dishes. Excuse me saying this, Toshi. The big trick is to use good ingredients because there isn't a lot.
Yeah.
Huge. Don't
I saw
skimp on the quality of the goods. It makes a huge change, and there are some wonderful things that you can easily make, some great marinades for the barbecue, and so on. So a big thank you to Toshi, and then I'll hand over to Marcy, and then once we're all done, I will turn the meeting open to everybody. And I should add, this was my Christmas present from my lady friend. She thought I should be suitably dressed. Marcel.
Thank you, James, and thank you everyone to listen. And I also want to thank to Toshi to show wonderful live cooking. And if you have any questions, just let me know now, or you can write a chat message. Any questions? Oh, Felicia.
And then Marcel, could I ask you a
Yes.
favor? Could you tell us, and I know that when things are normal, Yoshi works in a restaurant up at Lawrence and Young, but could you could you maybe give us a list of Japanese restaurants that we could recommend if we have Japanese clients? And that would be absolutely wonderful.
I recommend still we need to double check now because some restaurants might gone due to COVID. But I recommend one which is on Adelaide in downtown. It's called the Nami restaurant. They are pretty authentic Japanese food. And another one is at the JCCC. Japanese Canadian Cultural Center. There's a Japanese restaurant there, which is just across the street from Aga Khan Museum. So there's another one Japanese restaurant. And mm, most of them like pretty much expensive, and some of them closed now. And there are more reasonable restaurants which is called izakaya. So Ginko izakaya is nice, and one which called Kingyo, which is also nice. So if you want to know more details, then you can just like send me an email or like text me or whatever you can do. So Toshi-san, do you have any recommendations of restaurants?
So I recommend Zen. Yeah, Zen restaurant. Yeah, Zen restaurant also so authentic so Japanese cuisine. So you can eat makam. Yeah, so north of mid yeah Victoria Park and yeah Steels of North. Yeah, you can go. Maybe now only take out, but you can go after the lockdown. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does anybody have any cultural questions for Masayo? And please just use your space bar and you'll be able to say something. I've got one question. Toshi, what
Yes.
type of onions do you prefer?
What type of what?
Onions. Do you like the red ones,
Onion.
white ones?
Yeah. So yeah, Spanish onion is fine. Yeah, and sweet onion also fine for this gyudon. Yeah, I think so. Okay, anything else?
Okay. And then any more questions for Masayo, who is a member of the board? I'd like to then say a very big thank you to Masayo for putting all this together. You take care. I'm going to disconnect everybody. And thanks
Yes.
again.